If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schafer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of Mind Pump. So look, for the first 42 minutes, we have our fun conversation. We don't talk too much about fitness, but you won't want to miss it. Here's what we talked about. First off, Adam gives me some compliments. Really nice.
That's a first.
He approved of my new look, mostly most of my look, because I'm wearing Vuori clothing. Now, Vuori is performance wear, so it's active wear for men that looks really good and is extremely comfortable. If you go to Vuori clothing, let me spell that out for you, VUORI clothing.com/mindpump, you'll get 25% off. We hooked you up.
Vuori.
Then we talked about Netflix's documentary, Fire. This was the big, what was it, like a music event?
It was a disaster.
Festival.
A cluster of fuck.
It was really crazy. Then we talked about influencer masterminds. That's a bubble that's about to bubble bust. It's going to go. We went a little hard on them, I think, but it was a good time.
Hey.
Then we called our good friend Layne Norton. Had a little short phone call with him, asking him why he likes to rile people up so much about things like vaccines. We talked about social media post that Enzo sent me, talking about how researchers can actually predict your behavior based off of your friends' posts. What?
Yeah, it's creepy.
Pretty crazy. Then we talked about China's Deadbeat debtor app. You'll know who's around you and with terrible credit, and you probably don't want to hang around with them.
Hello, Hitler
China.
Youth.
Then we talked about how tomorrow is National Green Juice Day, or smoothies. We are sponsored by Smoothie Box. They actually send to your door whole food smoothies that you blend, and they're amazing and they're healthy. So check this out. If you go to smoothieBox.com/mindpump, you'll get $20 off your first 3 boxes. That was the first 42 minutes of the episode. Then we get into the fitness stuff. The first question was, look, there's a lot of variations of lunges, like back step, walking, side lunges. Like, what's the point of using all those different variations? Isn't a lunge just a lunge, or do they all do something different? The next question was, we talk about practicing exercises and treating the lifts like a skill. How long should you practice a movement before you start to add weight and make it more intense? And the next question was actually asking our opinion on all these influencers who talk about polarizing your content. They say basically, if you want to make any headway on social media, you should pick a side and be very specific, like I'm just the paleo girl or I'm just the keto guy. What is our opinion on that? Is that a good strategy? And the final question, what are some of the lessons that sports and competition teaches you that you can't really learn anywhere else?
Sports ball for all.
I would also like to mention that there's only 6 days left for the 50% off MAPS Anabolic Super Sale. MAPS Anabolic is our flagship foundational fitness program. It's great for boosting your metabolism, building muscle, sculpting your body. It's actually our most popular MAPS program. Well, it's 50% off. All you got to do is go to mapsfitnessproducts.com, use the code RED50, RED50, no space, for that discount. Also, on that site, you can learn about our other MAPS fitness programs. We have ones for athletes. We have some for bodybuilders. We have bundles, like the bikini bundle or the summer starter bundle. A lot of awesome stuff on there. Again, the site is mapsfitnessproducts.com.
I want to comment on how handsome you look today.
Dang.
It looks like your mother dressed you. I like it.
No, it doesn't.
No, I like it.
Your mom's got style then.
Let's start from the bottom.
No, let's not do that, actually, because what I was going to tell you...
You're a dickhead.
Yeah,
I know. What I was going to tell you is you look so fucking fly right now. You've got the new Vuori shirt on. You've got the Vuori, the joggers that I've been telling you to grab. What's the name of those?
So that's that tech shirt, though, right? I got one of those, too.
No, the joggers are called the Sunday Performance.
So those are
joggers.
These are my favorite.
What does that mean, performance on
you want
Sunday?
to perform on a Sunday, dude.
Yeah, what does that mean? Sit on the couch?
So these are my these are my favorite joggers that Vuori makes.
Yeah, I like them. They're comfy.
No, and then you look sharp, and then you even got the black socks go with it. But then you fuck it all up with these fucking...
Sal, are you a runner?
Yeah, those are like grandpa shoes.
Oh, they're so comfortable. Dude, what are you talking about? Your New Balance.
Those aren't New Balance.
Yeah, they are.
No, it's not.
No, those aren't.
I bought them at the.
I thought those
aren't New Balance.
Altea or whatever.
Yeah, you don't even know. You don't even know what you're wearing.
I don't even know. But
hey, man,
it's
not New
I
Balance.
I got them at the. What's that place called? The camping place.
Payless.
Yeah. No, they're
don't lie, dude. They sell those at Payless.
They're super comfortable. They look age appropriate, Adam. Okay, so they're age appropriate.
Bro, I'm not that old.
Huh?
I'm not so old. I just
no. It's just a big,
not care
It's
anymore.
just a big gap between the age you dress, and the age you are.
No. Not at all. It just seems that way for you because you're so outdated.
Age appropriate.
So it seems like.
Listen, when's the last time you got called a silver fox?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
You're getting that.
Yeah,
out in public.
Because let me tell you something. Today, this happened today. A female said I was very handsome.
Yeah,
she was old. She was 75,
you look sharp.
But
you look sharp.
To me,
I know I'm busting your balls right now. No, I know I'm busting your balls right now about the shoes and all. But I do. The Viore stuff looks sharp on you. It looks good,
dude. They kill it. What do they call it though? They don't call it activewear. They call it performance something. What do they call it?
I don't know. They have a name.
There's another thing. I looked at the tag. I forgot. Terrible. Yeah. But anyway, they name it something, and it's supposed to mean workout clothes that are super comfortable that you can and look good that you could wear.
Well, isn't that apparel? Isn't that what they call activewear?
Performance apparel.
Why would we not know that?
What a dork.
It's apparel.
Justin, which ones you got?
Dude,
there?
so I'm trying to maintain a certain level of style that's like unique to me. And so I saw on there they had these chino pants that are like stretchy, just like everything else that they've made that I could actually wear that I'm like, oh, wow, that totally fits well with me and my mountain cholo sort of vibe.
It does go with your...
Yeah, like it's still hacky sack, skateboard and all that, even though I don't.
They're the color of... they're like khaki color.
Yeah, it's khaki color. They're like... Yeah, it's like just the chino pants. You remember seeing like these the sort of skaters and all that wear. So it has that kind of look to it, but I can apparently do deadlifts and squats in them. So yeah. I'm excited about that.
They spoiled us because now that I have all these Viore outfits, I don't wear anything else.
I know.
Now you know how uncomfortable jeans have become. Yeah. Jeans.
Yeah.
Jeans are uncomfortable now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Forget about it.
Anyway, I watched a little bit of that documentary on Netflix.
Which one?
You watched the Fire one?
Fire.
Oh.
I watched a little bit of it.
So
I watched the whole thing.
I'm super pumped. Did you guys see it on the forum?
No. What's going on?
Oh, I told you. So what was it? Last week or whatever when I told you guys to watch it and it blew me away that Marc Weinstein was in it. And today or yesterday I was on the forum and there's already a big old thread on it. So our forum is already I was hoping to surprise our forum, so those that don't know this, that's not on the forum. Fire is the documentary. Last week I'm watching it. It's like 13 minutes in or so, and Marc Weinstein comes up, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I fucking know this guy. Yeah. I pause it. I tell Katrina, I'm like, how do I know him? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, no, I for sure know this guy. Like everything about him is familiar, and it's not like familiar. I've seen you on TV. It's like we've definitely talked, right?
Yeah, like I've literally had conversations with this guy.
Yeah, so
I had the same like experience.
And so I looked him up real quick on social media, trying to see if that would remind me of something, and I screenshot it, sent it over to Taylor. And the reason why I sent it to Taylor because he's got kind of a Taylor look. Yeah. And I'm like, I think I remember calling him something related to Taylor or teasing Taylor about him being a twin brother.
Right. I was calling like Superman's evil twin.
Bizarro.
So he was like Bizarro Taylor is what we actually called him.
Right. So I sent it to Taylor. And Taylor right away goes, oh, that's Mark from Spartan. And I was like, oh. So then I look at my phone because I knew we exchanged
That's so crazy he was a part of that whole debacle.
He wasn't just a part of it. Like
he's an integral piece to it.
Yeah, he was the most interviewed person on that entire documentary.
So here's what blew me away about because I only watched the first, maybe almost the first half. First off, I remember reading all about it. So I'm very familiar with what happened. It was this huge, it was supposed to be this extremely exclusive, massive, crazy...
Right. It's like Coachella for just rich people.
Yeah, music festival on an island in the Bahamas. And apparently they had bought Pablo Escobar's island. And it was super exclusive. Private planes only flying in.
That's where they went like extremely wrong. If they would have just not like advertised that it was Pablo Escobar's island, probably would have pulled it off.
Yeah. So and there were. I mean, this is how crazy it was. You could get a yacht out there for $250,000. You could get your own bungalow for like $15,000. It was supposed to be super exclusive. But what really blew me away was, because we all know what happened, right? It turned out to be the biggest disaster of all time. People showed up. There were silly tents set up. There was no sewage system set up. People were serving them cheese
like relief
sandwiches
from hurricane.
Oh, it became a massive disaster. The guy's probably going to go to jail over it. But what's crazy is, first of all, how he closed everybody on it.
Yeah.
And then second was just how they were able to use social media.
Yeah.
They just flew in a bunch of models, like supermodels, and had them all post on Instagram. And then within 48 hours, they fucking sold out.
I cannot wait to talk to Mark about it because he was in the mix of all. So I shot him a text right away. He's not doing any consulting for Spartan anymore. So he wasn't. So that email.
What did he do for them? I forgot.
He's a
I remember
consultant.
he helped us with.
So he's like a special event planner.
Yeah.
Like so that's how he got. Obviously that's
his gig.
So obviously that's how he got intertwined with the fire thing. Is he was hired for that, and I know that he only got paid like 30% of his monies up front, and then the other 70 he was waiting for the event to go off and finish. Yeah. So him and a lot of other people got fucked. But anyways, it's a crazy documentary. I highly recommend watching it. I've got Mark coming. So I wanted to surprise the audience and actually get like inside perspective on it and have him on the show. We are going to have him on the show.
There must be so much more dirt.
That's why I did it. I was like, even though there's a documentary out and you could watch all the crazy stuff, like I can't wait to talk to somebody who had inside info. I mean, it's sound bites you hear on the documentary.
For me, it's all about the psychology of it all, because just because you have a bunch of supermodels posting, and they were vague about their posting, like what they're doing or whatever, to create more interest in what's going on. And then they all posted the orange tile on their Instagram saying fire coming soon or whatever. And they sold out with these super expensive, just because all these super rich people thought it was extremely exclusive. Fucking sold out in 48 hours.
You didn't probably, if you only made it halfway through, you might have not seen what happened to. So they're trying to hold the models responsible.
Yes.
And
what?
Some people were suing the models.
Suing the models for promoting it.
For promoting and advertising.
I don't know if you could do that. That's silly,
I don't think that's
well,
right
it's
because they're doing with their job.
There's some accountability that definitely should be established, but I don't see that.
Right. I find it really interesting that that's a possibility.
So let me tell you what that would do. If that precedent gets set, it would be like if you're a celebrity getting paid by Coke to be on their commercials, and then someone becomes obese or something from Coke, they could sue you, the celebrity who advocated for Coca-Cola. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are models that got paid. Like they got paid just post that they're going to be there.
Their job that they paid them for.
That's all they were supposed to do. Are they responsible for the fact?
Well,
that
I don't even think. I mean, no, I don't think they are. No, I don't agree with that. Although I like the scare of it, because it starts to have a little bit of accountability with what's going on right now that I see in the. I mean, I just did a post yesterday. I don't know if you guys read the post I just did.
I loved it so much. I wish I could. You know what I did?
Double like.
I liked it. I unliked it, and I liked it again.
Yeah,
just so I could like it more than once,
just to get it in the algorithm.
But it's very interesting to me to see what's going on right now in social media and social media businesses, and you're starting to see a lot of people popping up out of nowhere that gain some sort of fame, whether it be through photos or knowing somebody or just being really good at creating imagery on social media or being funny or doing cool shit. And, they're getting enough eyes on them that they can build a little business where they're generating some revenue. And then from there, they're pivoting, and they are selling tickets to come hear them talk and teach others how to do it, and it's
become an influencer.
Yeah, and it's becoming this vicious cycle. And then you see like these models who are just they get up there because they get 1 million plus followers because they're hot and show ass photos, and then they just take $25,000 a post just to throw whatever up there, whether they're using it or if they're really going to be there or not. And it's like, man, I mean, I'm definitely, on the side of free market thing, and it's to each their own. And if people are stupid, then whatever. But I do like getting them shook up a little bit and scaring these models.
It's still completely along the lines of freedom. Look, if you get sued because because you were misleading or whatever. That's not so. What I wouldn't want is government regulation. That's what I wouldn't want. That's what I don't think anybody wants.
Agreed.
I think you should be free to, if you want to sell an influencer academy tickets or whatever, pay me $10,000 to teach you how to build your social media business, which is what they're all doing. And you go pay $10,000 and you think you got ripped off, take them to court. There's nothing wrong with that. Or post about how shitty it was and give them a shitty review. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I personally think that whole model is a bubble. I think it's going to burst.
Well, it's a bubble because what's happening right now, and the reason why there isn't a backlash is because a lot of these young kids that are going to these, they don't know if they're getting bullshit or not. They don't know if it's bad or not. And what I've noticed is if you go to these these influencer things, masterminds, whatever, there's a million different names that we're putting on them. And you go there and there's, 25 to 100, depending on how big or popular this person is, people there. Most of the people there are already like kind of on the right track of trying to build their own thing. And they got 500 to, 5,000 followers or so. And they're trying to find out how do they generate millions like this person I'm paying for to come see. And the worst thing that happens, even if that person didn't put on a good presentation, the bare minimum, I meet 30 other people that have got 500 to a few thousand that are into the same space as I am. And it becomes this like, oh, I networked with a lot of people, and that's valuable to me. And so I think a lot of people are justifying the networking piece of it for the ticket that they pay.
What really happens, they connect to these people, but then they all get in cahoots with, I'm going to post this. You guys have enough social influence that you're going to like it. You're going to comment on it. It's going to boost me up in the rankings. It's a total ring. It's a racket. It's a way to hack the system.
And anytime this is and I can't remember, there's a term for it. It's a psychological term where somebody will spend time doing something or invest money doing something. And because it was so much time and money that even if the returns are objectively terrible, they'll justify it. They'll be like, well, because you don't want to face the fact that you got ripped off.
Yeah,
you don't want to face the fact that, my God, I spent all this time. So what they'll do at the end of it is be like, well, I did make all these good connections and I did have a good time and I got to meet this person.
I even rewrote, so I wrote it out and I was kind of like fired up while I was writing it. And I referred to the people buying these, instead of referring to them as people as what everybody read, I originally had idiots. And I took that out because I was like, you know what? Like, if I insult those people, they're even less likely to come forward and say something, and that's not what's going to help this situation. What's going to help this is more and more people coming forward and being like, I too got scammed, or I too fell for it, and I spent this money on doing this shit. And so
cognitive dissonance. Thank you, Doug.
Yeah. And so I pulled that out because I didn't want to feel like I was insulting those people because, a lot of them don't know any better. And this is a new emerging market right now.
That's why it's okay. So here's how you see how bubbles start to get formed. Is when there's an emerging market and there's lots of hype around it, and all that happens when a bubble pops. It's a market correction. It's the value of the perceived value doesn't match the actual value, and so the bubble pops. And sometimes bubbles are created through government regulation and intervention, where the government, let's say, comes out with legislation that says you have to give all these people loans, even if they don't qualify, because everybody deserves a house and it sounds good. And then you get a bubble in loans and you get a bunch of people who don't qualify, and then all of a sudden nobody can pay their loans off. And then that's kind of what happened in 2008.
Right.
What you have right now is this bubble, or this all this hype and excitement around building being an entrepreneur with social media.
Right.
It's social media entrepreneurship. And it kind of seems and looks on the outside really easy because it's new. Like, oh my God, I know this. I could see this person. They were a nobody, and then they built their business off social media. I can do that too. So you've got all these people who are excited, and they're like, now what? What do I do now?
It's MLM rebranded. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the whole thing. If you look at these trends, it always starts with somebody benefiting more than these other people now jumping in afterwards, and it's this multi-level tiered pyramid. You see these things emerge in different forms all the time, and I think that people get sucked into it because initially it works. If you're first to market and you're like, you're doing this and like you're getting everybody to buy into the idea.
All you need is one person. Like if I'm an influencer and my MO is making other influencers, all I need is one person that says that I'm the reason why they got so big. Now, if I'm a smart influencer, this is what you do, okay? I'm just going to be straight up with you. If I'm going through social media and I see someone with 10,000 followers and they're fucking, wow, this person's really awesome. They're good looking, they're hot, they got good information. I'm going to contact them and tell them I'll help them out for free. That way it looks like I helped them build because they probably would have built it on their own anyway. and this is what ends up happening with a lot of these people. So you see some of these, there's some of these big names who have these, whatever you want to call them, these, what they call them, influencer academies or, what other names do they have? Masterminds or whatever. And what they'll do is they'll find some of these talented people and they'll bring them on their team, and that makes them look like they're more, even bigger and even better than they really are. Right. And it's just a bubble. It's going to pop. At some point, it's going to be a parody. At some point, it's going to be,
it'll be interesting.
People will make fun of it.
I don't know because there's, MLM still exists, so who knows. Yeah. But speaking of social media posts, and the other day, I think it was just 2 posts ago or whatever, I saw you kind of stirring the pot a little bit with Layne and the vaccine post.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one went like crazy.
Yeah, dude. I think he lives to start shit, with people.
He thrives in it.
Well, what it was is his post was all about anti-vaxxers. And so you're seeing this huge political push right now. And this is what politicians do. This is what they're very good at, is they draw a line in the sand and then they create an enemy off of one side. And so the latest one is now people who are pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine. And what I mean by a line in the sand is you're either pro all vaccines all the time,
vaccine,
or you're against all vaccines all the time. There is no middle. You know what I mean? There is no like if I came out and I'm like, well, some vaccines are really effective. Some, maybe not that good. Like the flu vaccine, not that efficacious.
Some are a bit questionable. I don't know why you would do that. You can't question any of them.
Yeah, there's been vaccines in the past that have caused problems and with people, and so I like to look at them individually. Boom, labeled anti-vaxxer.
Right.
And now you're the other side. You're the enemy, or you're so pro-vaccines that you believe everybody should be forced to get all of them, forced by law to get all of them. And so he did this post, and so that's what I posted underneath. And I said, it's okay to question things on an individual level. All medicine's like that. Like there's some antibiotics that are safer than others. Vaccines, probably the same way. Plus, people's body makeups are different. Anyway, so I didn't go back and forth with Layne, but there were people underneath my comment who were going back and forth with me. And then he did another thing today on Twitter. I'll read it.
Oh, no, he's got another. I didn't read today's.
Dude, he puts, walks into room, lights match. Carnivore is not for optimal health. Keto and fasting are not magic and still obey the laws of energy balance. Vaccines are very good. The government is not trying to make us sick. Veganism isn't a cure for cancer. Drops match. You know what we should do?
Yeah.
Let's call Layne.
Oh, we should keep stoking this fire.
I want to ask him why he does that. Why he likes to be a dick.
Well, no, I'd love to hear you ask him some questions on the vaccines because I think that's a really good topic too. And I think I for me personally, especially right now, I'm in the middle of trying to make a baby with Katrina over here. And at one point, hopefully I'm successful and I'm going to be faced with these things. And I'm going to be honest with you, like I've heard there's so many that you get bombarded with that I don't know, should I do none of them? Should I do all of them? Are there certain ones that I should do or not do? Like I don't even want to think about all the research I'm going to have to do when this comes up.
Yeah. I mean, objectively speaking, vaccines are one of the greatest breakthroughs in Western medicine.
Yeah.
Objectively, also speaking, I think it's smart to always question anything you're going to put in your body.
Anything that's mandated, you should probably question.
And if it's mandated, especially, question.
That's how I feel.
Well, anyway, let's. You guys want to get him on the phone?
Yeah. Call his ass.
Call him. Doug, can you hook it up? See if it works.
He's probably angry right now online as we speak.
See if he answers. Hello?
Hello?
Layne! Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
What's up, dude? Hey, you're on Mind Pump right now.
Yeah. We interrupt your Twitter anger session?
No. I can multitask. It's good. I can, it's fine. I'm driving my child, and I'll be tweeting at the same time, because safety.
Dude, what's your deal with the vaccines right now? Why are you being such a dick to the people who don't like vaccines?
No, we're no tweeting while driving. No tweeting while driving. That's the rule.
Yeah, no. What's up with the vaccine thing right now? How come you're going after the people who are questioning vaccines? Seems like that's your that's your thing.
Oh well, no, not really. I thought it was if you look at the post, the first one, it was more of I just thought it was funny that while people want to poo-poo vaccines, they're promoting essential oils as a quote-unquote cure. I'm not going to sit here and blanketly say that there's no vaccines that don't have any adverse effects. I mean, you are injecting a weakened virus, and so sometimes people get a little sick. And I mean, but here's the thing. If you look at the side effects label of any over-the-counter drug, because remember, even if somebody could say, for example, like there's an adverse event list versus adverse effects. So, side effects are things that have been documented over and over and over, and kind of we have a mechanism for them. Events are things that we just are case studies. So, for example, I can have a vaccine, get in a car wreck on the way home, and say, well, that vaccine caused me to have a car wreck because of X, Y, Z. Now that's an adverse event. Now, nobody thinks that, but, if you get anything, like pick anything out. So I think that, a lot of people like to kind of pick on the flu vaccine because if you want to go by the numbers, it's somewhat ineffective because if they pick the wrong strain, you could still get the flu. But the research does seem to indicate that if you get the flu, it will be less severe than normal. And as somebody who's had the flu, okay, let me back up. I hear a lot of people sometimes say, yeah, I think I got the flu. No. If you've ever had actual influenza, you know, because it is a whole nother ball game. I don't know if you guys have ever had it, but my God, I had it, and I'm a pretty resilient person. It absolutely completely took me out for 3 weeks. I understand how that kills healthy people.
So, Layne, this is Adam right now. I got a quick question for you then.
Of course. What shirt do you have on today, Adam?
I'm wearing a champion hoodie right now, brother.
Attaboy.
Yeah. So, hey, I right now, Katrina and I are in the middle of trying to make a baby, and I'm trying.
Not literally though, not right now.
Yeah.
I'm videotaping.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and so this is the fact that you post this. I brought this conversation up with Sal today because never have I really had to think about this stuff, and soon, obviously, or hopefully.
Yeah.
I'll be having to look into a lot of this. And so this is not an area that I typically go into and get into debates with someone like yourself or Sal. But just out of curiosity, are there certain vaccines that, you would stay away from, or are you, say, take them all? Do you have or certain ones you're like, I think you absolutely should take those ones, but not others?
So first off, I'm not an immunologist, right? So this is completely 100% my opinion. I think if you don't want to get the flu vaccine or something like in your kids, let me put it this way. Let me back up. Something like the measles, vaccines of things that cause completely preventable deaths. I think those, I would recommend people get them. But there are some vaccines where it's kind of, optional, where, like the flu vaccine, those sorts of things. After having influenza a couple years ago, I will elect to get the flu shot. But if somebody doesn't want to, so as we know, I know you're all fellow libertarians. The libertarian side of me struggles with this because I know a lot of, I think I've read that you guys have said, well, we're not necessarily against vaccines, but we don't think it should be mandatory. Is that kind of
absolutely? Yep. I don't think you should be for, and we don't have a great track record of forced things the government does to people. We've got a pretty terrible track record. So I'm always as soon as they tell me I have to do something, my ears perk up every time.
So so this is something I would struggle with as a libertarian from both sides, just because So the devil's advocate argument is that, well, if you don't get it, you're reducing the kind of herd immunity, the overall immunity of the community, and increasing the likelihood that more people are going to get sick. So you are effectively could negatively impact somebody else through your actions, which is a fundamental crux of libertarianism, that, basically do no harm. Do what you want, but as long as you do no harm to others, right? So forced vaccination would be something I'd really struggle with. I'm not sure from a philosophical standpoint what the right answer is there. It's kind of like, so Sal, you kind of, the other day you asked me, you're like, well, what are your thoughts on like abortion, religion, and something else, right? So, but I'll be honest, like I really struggle with abortion. I really do. Because on one hand, I sit there and say, well, I'm not a woman. I don't know what that's like. It's not my body. And on the other hand, I say, well, it kind of comes down to where do you establish the point of life, right? Is it once a baby is delivered? Is it conception? Is it once you hear a heartbeat? Is it once there's consciousness and thought?
Layne, don't you dare take us down this rabbit hole.
Yeah,
don't you dare take us.
That's too far, dude.
I'm going to ask you one quick question, and you have to give me a short answer before we hang up with you right now. And I want you to give one piece of advice to a young man, a young nerdy man, maybe not as not much of an extrovert, maybe not dated a lot of women before, maybe a little insecure. What would you give him? One piece of advice on how to pick up a hot chick like Holly.
You guys must have. So did you see her post where like there was like 5 different dudes who were like, "What are you doing with Layne?"
No, I didn't see that.
I didn't, but I do want you to get. If you were to tell this young man, you were to give him a piece of inspiration. What would you say to him because he looks up to you? What would you say?
Yes, Layne Norton, inspiration for nerds trying to get a hot chick everywhere.
Yeah, I like that T-shirt.
All right.
So I only have an N of 1, right? Okay. So we're dealing with complete anecdote. So short answer.
Yes.
You have to have confidence. You have to have confidence. Whether it's confidence in yourself, whatever. But that's. So here's the longer answer, real quick. I'll cut it down to 60 seconds.
Okay.
Confidence is not something you can just have. You have to build it. And it starts small, set small goals. Get yourself some victories so that you can build that confidence. My confidence was built over years of, hey, I got an A on this test. Hey, I hit this PR. Hey, I did this in business and it worked. That was what built confidence. And from, Holly's not like a lot of other women though, because she is very attractive, but she's also very smart. Ellie said she essentially gave up on dating until she met me, because she's like, I didn't think I'd meet somebody who was intelligent enough, but also allowed me to be independent and didn't get threatened by my independence. I think that's also another thing. If you're gonna. That's it.
No. That's it. That's all you get.
That was beautiful.
That's it. That's all you get. That's all you get. We'll call you.
I'll say that for my dating ebook. Then.
All right. Yeah.
All right, man.
Next controversial topic. All right, we'll hit you up.
Love you, brother. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great one.
Thanks.
See it.
Did he just say? Did you say she's not like other women? She's good looking and smart.
Oh God,
I love that. That's a quote.
Here's another one. Have a way with
Here's
words,
what I like about Layne. He just goes.
I love that.
We were talking about vaccines, which is already a third rail.
Right.
He goes right into abortion.
Doubles down onto abortion.
I'm like, no.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're not going. We're not talking about that at all.
This would be an hour.
We always open up a can.
No.
Every time.
I think I like what he says about it. I think when you pin him down and ask him, he stirs up a lot of shit. But when you pin him down,
he's
and
a
ask
lot
him,
more measured than he seems. He throws that out there to get the eyes and the attention and all that. And I see what he's doing.
Well, I get a lot of people that are not fans of Layne that question why do we like him or why are we that way. And I found Layne originally when I was getting into the bodybuilding thing, and I was actually really frustrated with the information that I was searching and finding, and the people that I was talking to in the space, because there was just a lot of bullshit and really bad stuff, really bad information. And so I come across this guy that's kind of, he's very combative with the way he comes after it. But I get it, because I had the same kind of, anger towards like, oh my God, look at all these people that are just providing terrible information. And so I know his heart is in the right place, so that I think that's the part of me that likes him, is that I know that his intentions are well. And what's happened that I think that is good and bad is that he's gained a lot of attention by doing that.
That was your Freudian slip right there.
Yeah, sorry. Gained a lot of attention by doing it that way, so it's fed into it even more. And so now I think he even comes off harder on topics that I know him well enough to know that he doesn't feel that strong about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. So because we're talking about social media and all that stuff, there was an article that was shared. Who shared this one? I want to say it was Enzo. Enzo must have shared this. Yeah, he did. Enzo sent this one. Good job, Enzo.
Yeah,
such
Enzo's
a good kid.
up.
Such a good. You know what he said to me the other day? That fucking cracked me up. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. It's hilarious. He's sitting in the office, dude.
Oh yeah.
He's sitting in the office, and he's doing his job or whatever, like a good kid. And I walk in, they're like, "What's up, everybody? Hey, what's up, Enzo?" He's like, "Hey, Sal." He goes, "I got my 23andMe test back." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And he goes, "So, did you know that there's a gene that they can test that shows that you are genetically predisposed for muscle strength and power, or there's a gene that you have that shows that you're predisposed for athletic endurance."
Oh, wow.
Or there's an extremely rare gene, it's not common, that's neither strength, neither power nor endurance. He goes, "That's the one I have." We were dying, bro, because the way he said it, he's like, "I got the worst.
I got neither.
I got the rare ones that are
I got the gift.
Yeah, not strong or stamina." Anyway, it was great. But he sent this article that was pretty awesome. So researchers took people's tweets and were able to, through examining the tweets, were able to approximate someone's behavior and location, and it wasn't the person doing the tweet. Okay? So let me reword that.
Yeah, explain that.
So let's say you're hanging out with friends or whatever, and you're like, "I don't want to be on social media. I don't like that they know too much about me. I don't like that they target me with advertising. I want to stay dark." Doesn't fucking matter. If your friends are tweeting and shit like that, and you're with them and around them, and every once in a while you pop in one of the tweets or whatever, people can use all the people around you to find shit out about you and find out where you are and find out lots of valuable information about you. What? So even though you go dark, all the people around you that you hang around with, they can use their information to find shit out about you.
Explain how they do that.
They can predict it through the online behavior of people that you know.
Right. So if I'm if they see that I constantly talk, like I engage on Instagram with YouTube more than anybody else probably, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's lots of pictures of you and I together. You've also seen me go to Chipotle off of whatever street, and then you two happen to be there, but you don't see me.
We saw a little bit of an example of that on that show You on Netflix. Right?
Yeah,
like how he was able to find and triangulate like where she would be at this coffee shop or whatever, and he'd just show up.
Yes. So I'll read a part of the article. It says, the researchers found by gathering 30 million public posts on Twitter from nearly 14,000 users that they could use information in tweets posted by 8 or 9 of a user's contacts to predict the user's own future tweets just as accurately as if they're reviewing that user's actual Twitter feed. So in other words, the online behavior of those close to you on social media can be just as predictive of future behavior as your official recorded social media activity.
Dude, we are creatures of habit. I mean, at the end of the day, like as much as we don't want to be, it's like every day has a pattern to it.
Well, look at what it says here. The researchers also revealed that those who abandoned their Twitter or Facebook profiles and those who never signed up for social media platforms to begin with can still have their future behavior tracked and predicted with 95% accuracy using the online activity of their friends.
Wow.
So you may be someone that's like
90% accurate.
95%.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you could go and you could be like,
you got a flip phone, you don't even have a smartphone, doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter. Advertiser, everybody's going to be, they'll know what you're going to do just because of the people around you and what they put out.
Yeah.
How fucking crazy is that?
I mean, and that kind of goes into this other article that Taylor actually sent me, which was like talking about like China's new app. So this is why we had concerns, because we see already now that it looks a lot like these Nazi Germany practices already.
Big Brother, big
right?
time.
So you have this app that basically it will let you know based off of proximity around you who has debt but could also pay that debt and is not paying their debts. So that you could basically like shame them for not paying their debts. And
now, do you get points? Because they have that social credit system. It's kind of like a big social media platform, but owned and operated by the government, right? To manipulate people into certain behaviors. Do you lose points for being around people with bad?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
you lose points. It's called Map of Deadbeat Debtors.
Oh, no.
Like that's like literally what like
That's the
people
app?
are. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm like, this is absurd,
Bro,
dude.
so-
It's like whistleblowing, like when somebody would see something and then they would just like tell the authorities right away for just like the most minuscule things.
So it's like you'll have this app, you'll be walking, and then all of a sudden it'll be beep, 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 beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep, and you'll look at it and be like, oh shit, that dude over there.
Like everybody's looking at you all of a sudden.
I
you're
can't
like,
stand
"Oh,
next to
shit."
him.
Yeah.
So you're walking around like a pariah.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to stand near you because they'll lose social points.
Yeah, you
or
might as well
whatever.
be a leopard leopard.
Well, I mean, that too, you know?
Yeah.
If there was a leopard,
You
people would be
kind of
like,
want to get the fuck back.
yeah,
if
people
it's
would
a
step
leopard.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna
dude,
pounce
that's
you.
crazy.
So you guys know what
It's got out of control.
you guys know what tomorrow is?
no, it's not.
Apparently, there's a fucking thing every day, I swear to God. But I think it's
Yeah,
just
that's
kind
my
of cool.
birthday.
It was like
tomorrow.
donut day and stuff like that.
No, it's not. Is it your birthday tomorrow?
It is,
Is it
yeah.
really your birthday tomorrow?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Happy birthday, buddy.
Hey, thanks, man.
What do you turning 39,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Good
It's
for
not.
you.
It's not quite the big 40.
No,
which,
no.
yeah,
That's
your
happening soon.
gray hairs are getting there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
good for you, buddy. I mean,
Yeah.
39.
Happy
That's
birthday.
nice.
Happy early birthday, man.
Pew.
Pew.
Anyway, what were you gonna say?
So
Yeah,
tomorrow, besides Justin's birthday,
I can't believe you're going to tell
I
us.
just hijacked your commercial.
Yeah, right. Well,
Sorry.
yeah. Tell me what is tomorrow.
it's Green Juice Day.
Is it really?
Like people,
It's my favorite color, so it makes sense.
Hey, apparently
what an
it's-
asshole! Your co-host knew that it was fucking green juice day tomorrow, but didn't know it was your birthday.
Yeah.
Man,
Why does that make so much sense, though?
boy, that just backfired.
he keeps it a secret. Though.
I do.
I announced my birthday.
I know. I'm not like
You trying to get
bullhorning it.
I don't want anything.
I literally thought you were leading into that fact. That's why I said that. I was like trying to jump the gun.
No,
and that backfired.
No, tomorrow is like Green Smoothie Juice Day. So it's a great time to talk about Smoothie Box, our sponsor. Yeah. Do you guys like their green one?
So yeah, I'm on it now. I don't know if I told you guys that or not.
No.
Yeah, so I think that since the last time we've had did their commercial, I hadn't been subscribed to it now. So
Are you looking carefully at the ingredients? Tell me it's not freaking amazing.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I really like I like them all, but I really like the Clementine one.
That one.
Clemente. Clement. How is
That's
it?
Clementine.
Clemente?
Yeah, what is it? Is it
Trying to
Clement?
make it sound fancier.
Yeah. No, it tastes really good. What
My
I
name is Clemente.
What I haven't done, which I plan to do, is to kind of boost the protein by adding extra protein into it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I know,
so it comes with 20 grams of collagen protein.
yes.
So you throw like another 20 or 30 grams of
So the green juice, I'm at like kale and we got apples, like all the green
avocado
pigments.
avocados in there.
Yeah.
There's nuts in there. So it's got healthy, because a lot of times when you make smoothies, it's all 100% sugar from fruit.
Yeah.
This has got proteins, it's got fats, healthy fats, and then of course it does have some of the fruit sugars in there, and it tastes really good.
It's
man.
refreshing,
But
delicious. I had it.
here's the secret. My recommendation is add a little bit of stevia, or add a little bit of honey to it to make it a little sweeter. It tastes really good.
See, I wouldn't even give that advice. I don't think it needs it. But what I will say is you don't need to add any ice because it's frozen, and so that already makes it thick. And you probably want to put, I do about a cup and a half of almond milk because 1 cup
Too thick.
too thick. Yeah, and you want a good blender. So it's because it's all real food. It ends up being really, really thick.
You need the blender. What's the one you guys use that's so damn powerful?
The Vitamix.
That's it.
Yeah.
That makes it turn into like a.
I wish we were sponsored by them.
Yeah.
We need to be.
Yeah,
that was it. Made it like a creamy texture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
It wasn't because I use the regular blender, and it didn't do nearly as good a job.
It's almost like a milkshake.
I don't even want to say it's a knock, but that's something that people should know is that it's not like this processed shake that you would get at like a NutriShop where you
it's real
throw
food.
it in and you shake it up. You're not going to want to shake this up. You want to blend it.
You want to blend it.
You have to. It's chunks of food. It's chunks of vegetables and fruit and stuff.
So I think that's important to let people know. Like you're gonna want to blend this. What's nice though is that you don't have to go get all the fruit and vegetables and store it, and then some of it goes bad, and then chop it all up. It's so quick. You just dump it in the blender and then.
I give it to my son post workout, after his workout. So I'll give him because he likes that. I'm giving him something cool like that, and then I'll do it. I probably do it three days out of the week in the morning. That's my breakfast.
Nice.
Because it's like, what is it, 300 something calories, very balanced with the collagen, and sometimes I'll add a little extra protein in there and we're set.
No, I'm liking it.
This Quaz brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout.
First question is from Hunk in That Funk.
Oh, yeah.
What is the difference between variations of a lunge, such as a back step, walking, or side lunge? What is the point of using different variations? Isn't a lunge a lunge?
Oh, that's a cool question.
Yeah, so here's the part of the answer that I think is the most important part, because I think we'll go into the whole exercise is a skill, and because it's different, that alone sends a different stimulus to the body. And we'll get into that in a second. But here's the better part of the answer. When I'm stepping forward into a lunge, although the exercise looks the same as I'm doing the lunge as it would if I were stepping back into a lunge, it's coming out of and into the lunge that also make a difference. So when I'm stepping forward, I'm decelerating my body coming forward, which means I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on knee extension of the front leg. So it's going to be more quadricep. When I'm stepping out of it and pushing myself back to a normal standing position, again, I'm having to focus more on knee extension where I'm kicking off with my leg, and it's going to be more quadricep.
Yeah, there's a different firing sequence that's happening between those two as an example. And so the focus is different. And so it's good to vary that in order to build up strengths within both of those different applications. So, and then we could get into different angles in terms of stepping into a different plane and then creating a different dynamic that way as well, which is valuable in terms of functional ways of moving and being strong in all kinds of different directions.
Well, a side lunge is way different, right? So
that's way different.
If it's a different
That's a totally different exercise.
Yeah, right. If it's a different plane, it's a different exercise at that point. For sure it's a different exercise. But I like this question because you're still in the sagittal plane when you're moving to a front lunge or a back lunge. But there is a big difference. When you do a reverse lunge, too, pay attention to, so like when you do a forward lunge, like Sal said, there's more knee extension, and then your knee will even come forward, right? So and the momentum is carrying your body forward. When you do a reverse lunge, your knee doesn't go forward at all. It stays in that fixed position, and so the glute takes a lot more of the load as you come backwards. So what would normally be taking a lot of the load, the deceleration of the forward lunge is a lot of quad dominant. When you go backwards and you step back, the glutes are whatever. Now both are incorporated in both the front and the back, but you put a little more emphasis on the glute by doing a back step lunge.
You can feel the difference in the anterior emphasis versus the posterior emphasis by like decelerating that force, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, when you step back, what gets you out of a back step? So imagine somebody and I want to paint this picture because I think sometimes we forget that we're not talking to other trainers, right? If you imagine someone standing straight up and then they step back into a lunge and then step back forward to the standing position, the muscles that are pulling them forward are the glutes and hamstrings. When you're stepping forward into a lunge and then pushing yourself back into standing position, the muscles that are pushing you back are more quadricep. So it's literally emphasizing different parts of your body. So if you want to work more glutes, back step lunge. If you want to work more quads, front step lunge. But it's not just that, because that's very simple, simplistic way of explaining this, but it's not just that. The body also adapts to small differences just because you have to become coordinated to them. So even though the exercise looks very, very similar, I'm having to acclimate to the fact that I'm moving differently than I normally do. And that challenges my body a little bit differently.
Right.
And all these small variations in stimuli cause more changes in the body because the body adapts very well to novelty. Now, there's also you also want to get good at something enough so that the novelty isn't so overwhelming that you can't really apply lots of force. Like if you're just stepping all over the place and you never have good balance, I'm never able to really generate enough force to really do what I need to do to build muscle and strength. But novelty itself sends a different signal. This is why you could take someone and have them bench press a particular way and change the novelty enough to where I can literally have someone do the same amount of reps, same everything, and just tell them, I want you to take
Change your grip.
Change your grip or go extra 2 seconds on the way down and way up.
Right.
And that change alone changes the
It's
exercise.
those little variances, and it changes the sequence, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, although the prime movers involved in the exercises are probably the same, just adding that different stimulus of where you're firing first or where you're stabilizing first or, you know, varying that to some degree is going to create a new ability to adapt and change.
I actually think that there's an order of operation too on like teaching the lunge to somebody. So I think stationary lunge is first.
Yep.
Then I think a back step lunge is second, and then I think a forward lunge is actually third.
Yep.
And the reason why that is that there's normally a limiting factor on the front lunge. The front lunge, if you don't have good ankle mobility, then a lot of people will travel forward. Their heel will come off the ground, or they'll stress their knees because they don't have the ankle mobility. And when you do the back step lunge, like I was mentioning, is it keeps you in that fixed position with your shin, so your knee doesn't travel forward. So it's a great way to challenge.
It's also easier to maintain that upright posture. So like you have
when
less
you step back.
Yeah, when you step back. So that's why I start there, because I'm trying to really establish that, you know, tall chest and shoulders retracted position to where the natural tendency a lot of times when you go forward is to lean into it.
So I'm going to take it to another level because someone may be listening and saying, oh, okay, cool. So if I step forward, it's more quad. So therefore walking lunges are more quad. No. Walking lunges are also more glute. Even though you're stepping forward, you're not pushing yourself back to a standing position. You're stepping forward, but then you're stepping forward with the other leg. A walking lunge is actually far more like a back step lunge than a front step lunge is.
That's a good point.
And so I would even say that I would take someone through walking lunges before I do the forward step lunge. I would take them. Walking lunges, it mimics more walking, and I think it's an easier way to transition someone.
I could get down with that.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but a forward step lunge is much more like a back step lunge. But think about it this way: if you're stationary, and what I mean by stationary is you're stepping into a lunge and stepping back to your starting point. Okay. The direction if you want to work the sides of your body, if you want to work your abductors, side step lunge. If you want to work the front side of your body, your quads, front step lunge. If you want to work the back side of your body more, back step lunge. So it's a really easy way to remember this. So if you're kind of a beginner and you're like, well, okay, what is it? Okay, think about it this way. What sides of your body do you want to emphasize? And I'm splitting hairs because you're working all the muscles.
But to that point though, which I think this is also why I used to give a lot of crap to the girls that do and I shouldn't say girls, I'm sure there's some guys that do it, that do they stick their asses up in the air, they do the abductor machine and stuff like that. So I think it's way more functional, way more beneficial, and I think you'll get more gains from doing like a side lunge.
Of course.
Because you get all the benefits of incorporating your abductors and adductors by doing a lateral lunge like that. In addition, you know, it's very functional. You're going to burn more calories. You're going to build more muscle from it. So that's what was my knock on those machines. And I remember when we first started the show, and we even had Craig back then, and you know, I was razzing the machine. He's like, oh, I think there's a purpose for it. I'm not saying there's not a purpose for it. There's a million other exercises that I would do first, and the side lunge is one of those that I would do instead, or a side step up, and I get the same benefits that machine is giving that person with a lot more carryover.
Now, and a lunge technically is a split stance squat, and a lunge is a great way to learn how to squat. It's easier for me to teach a new person how to lunge properly than it is for me to teach them how to squat. I like squats. I love squats. It's one of the best exercises you could do. but they're very complex. They're difficult for people to do. Requires a decent amount of control and stability in the entire body. And so when I take a new client, oftentimes I'll only have them do lunges for a while, and then slowly progress them to be able to do more of your traditional, type of barbell squats. But lunges are phenomenal, and I don't think they get the credit that they deserve. They're an excellent muscle building, strength building exercise as well. I mean, back in the day, lunges were considered a shaping movement. It was like only girls did them, and only people who just want to tone did it or whatever. But no, man, lunges, you can get really strong at doing lunges. You will build a considerable amount of muscle and shape in your legs, even if you never did a squat.
Next question is from MCD Matt. You guys keep saying practice exercises and treat each lift as a skill. How much time should be spent practicing these movements before ramping up the weight?
It's a great question.
It's a hard one to answer too, because it's like
individual.
It's like asking somebody who's teaching their kid how to play a sport. Like when do you progress them to the next move, or when do you push them to the next level, or when do you add something to that?
Yeah.
It really depends on how quick that you pick up the skills.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to learn something and it's shaky and scary and you feel aches and you don't feel right and it doesn't feel smooth, keep practicing. There's no reason for you to There's no reason for you to really increase weight yet, but you get to a point where you're in a groove and you feel great, and then now you start adding stuff to it. Just like I would teach a skill of a sport or a trick. You teach somebody how to snowboard or wakeboard for the very first time. The very first day you get them up on the water or you get them on the snow, you're not teaching them how to do it, an indie grab or a mute grab or a 360. It's like, that doesn't make sense. It's like, get this person to understand the fundamentals really well, and then you build upon it. The same thing goes with weight training. Before you start adding a bunch of weight, you want to perfect the skill first.
What's a mute grab?
It's a type where you grab
like
the board.
360 tomahawk flyer.
No, it represents where you grab the board.
Okay, so it's not sports ball.
No, it's sports ball. Yeah.
You're not in the know, Sal.
I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I had my aunt actually. She asked me a couple months ago if I'd take her team. She manages a team of investment bankers. If I'd take them through a workout and talk to them about nutrition and fitness and stuff. And so I took them through some mobility exercises. I didn't want to beat them up with a workout, and I told them why that's a good idea. And then I told them about practicing exercise versus going to the gym and just beating the crap out of yourself. And so this came up. How do I know when I go harder then? And so the analogy I like to use is video games. Okay, so it's like when you're playing a video game and you can choose from easy, medium, hard, and expert level. You know it's time to move to the next level when the one you're on is easy. It's no longer challenging. So if you're playing easy level and you're having a tough time and you're getting killed left and right and you're still figuring out how to aim your gun and how to run and how to jump, probably don't want to move to the medium level. But when you're going through that level at easy and you're like, this isn't challenging anymore. I need something different. Now it's time to move to the next level. Go harder. That's literally the advice that I'll give you when it comes to exercise. Yeah. When you're working out and your form is getting good, and then it gets great, and then the weight is just easy and it's not challenging, and when you get to that point, add weight. And better safe to go that way than it is to go the opposite direction, which is, I don't know if I should add weight, but let me just throw some weight on and see what happens. That's usually the wrong time to do it. And sometimes it's the right time to do it, but usually it's the wrong time to do it. So really, if it's no longer challenging, throw some weight on. Your goal is to be perfect at what you're doing, be good at it, and for it to no longer really be challenging, then move to the next level. And if you just did that every time you worked out, you would progress, incrementally, but consistently throughout your whole workout career.
Yeah, it really is as simple as that. And I mean, and that's why it's such an individual experience. However, I also would pay attention to the recovery afterwards and see how my body felt based off of what kind of what I was doing in the gym and how that affected me in terms of how quickly I could recover and felt like I was charged into, pursuing the next workout. So these are all things too that I would weigh out based off of I'm great. I'm charged. That felt like, that's kind of where I find where that is that seems like now I could add some stress and a little bit more to that workout I did previously, because I didn't feel like, that really put me out and I had to recover more. People
also underestimate the stimulus and challenge that learning a new skill places on the body. It doesn't have to be intense. Like if I went outside right now and I were practicing a sport that I never play, I wouldn't have to play it very hard to feel it the next day. Even though I'm fit, even though I work out every single day, I wouldn't have to practice it that much. I'll have clients all the time who never work out, and I'm just walking them through the movements and practicing movements. No weight, nothing. They're not even sweating or shaking that much. And then I'll get a message the next day, and they'll be like, wow, I didn't realize that was working me out. I feel sore in these areas. It's just it's a brand new stimulus. I've experienced it with, like, if you put me out right now in a pool and had me go swimming, I never go swimming. But if I did, I didn't even have to challenge myself. The next day, I'd feel like I worked out my body a little bit. So don't, and I can't stress this enough. Try not to judge your workout effectiveness by how sweaty and crazy tired you are during the workout. Don't worry about that. Go in there, practice the exercise, get really good at it. When it's easy and it's no longer a challenge, throw some weight on it and make it a little bit more challenging. And just do that every time you work out, and watch what happens.
It's intuition.
All right, next question is from Xenia Rador. What do you think about Insta influencers who talk about polarizing your content? For example, veganism and pro-carnivore diet are on opposite ends of the spectrum. So if you want to build your fitness and health business, choose a side. The reasoning is some people will love you and others will hate you, and you'll get more eyes on your content. What do you think about this strategy?
Yeah, it's a good discussion.
Yeah, no, it's a great discussion, because there's a point. I get the point.
Don't you feel like new media has totally made this a thing? Like you had to be so general before with old media.
It is, but it's a very scary place to get yourself in. I mean, you're pigeonholing yourself into a position or a stance on something that, for all you know, may be dead in a year or two. And I'll give you an example. Like right now, the celery thing, I didn't even realize it until I got enough
celery diet, or juice diet, or
whatever. It's just, and they're posting all the crazy health benefits attached to it. And I think the only thing that's less nutritious than a stick of celery is a head of lettuce. I think. Correct me if I'm
lettuce, maybe.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think anything is less nutrient dense than a stick of celery than a fucking.
It's basically water with a little bit of fiber.
Right, and there was a trend in the 90s or 80s, maybe even the cabbage diet that was like huge for a minute.
Apparently, if you just eat cabbage, you lose weight. Fucking mind blowing.
Right, and so. You got to be careful when you attach yourself to these made up words and these made up diets and these made up things that somebody else created to monetize it and make money off of it. And you jump on that bandwagon, and boy, it sucks when it's not cool anymore. I mean, I'll tell you right now, the carnivore diet is as pro as I am about some of the benefits and how it could totally change someone's life and help somebody. It won't be talked about in 2 years. It won't. It'll be dead. It'll be a dead topic. Nobody will care about it. It's just hot right now. It's so hot to talk about it. But it's going to die. And if you built your whole business around example, like I just think it's crazy, people that name themselves paleo whatever or keto.
Or IFIM chick.
Right. Or, exactly. Or keto whatever. And they attach themselves to a diet like that. Man, maybe you'll have a nice little run for a minute when it's being hot and it's being searched like crazy, but good luck keeping that business going on years later.
Well, look, if we started Mind Pump, it's funny, we had this conversation when we started our podcast. When we sat down, we literally talked about how in the new media space, being specific will get you initially more attention and more eyes. So if we started a podcast that was the Keto Fat Loss Podcast, 100% guarantee we would have gotten traction faster than naming our podcast Mind Pump. Okay, but let's work it through the entire process. Look down the road. Would we be able to have gotten as big as we are now if we were called the Keto Fat Loss Podcast? Well, no. First of all, you're limited to what you could talk about. Second, like Adam says, these trends grow and then they die. And when they die, you're screwed. And you're limiting yourself quite a bit. So this is a little bit of a dangerous game that you're playing by putting yourself in one box. Here's the thing. If you're going to put yourself in a box, you better be fucking the expert on it, okay? If you're going to be the keto guy, you better be Dom D'Agostino, okay? If you're going to be the carnivore diet, you better be the carnivore diet expert. But you see a lot of these people doing this because they think it's going to work for them. They're not that person. They're not that supreme expert.
It's just tribalism.
And it's not going to work. So I think, sure, you want to definitely know your market, but don't get caught up in the fads. Don't get caught up in that.
I think it's stupid.
Well, part of why
Thanks, Justin.
part of why it's not stupid, like
It
if
is.
you're trying to get attention or traction, is because the algorithm is built this way. So, and I was actually explaining this to Danny the other day when we did a video that was a little controversial, right? He did a video that was a behind the neck press, shoulder press, which I've talked about on this show multiple times. And I remember when I couldn't do it and I worked towards doing it. So I'm not against it behind the neck, but it is something that, you know, maybe more than half of the population above the age of 30 can't do. And so it's not the safest thing for someone to do. But I think we should all work towards the ability to do that. So he did this post and we got a lot of hate and a lot of comments right away. And he messaged me and he's like, "Oh, Adam, you know, should we not have done that video?" I said, "No, Danny." I said, you know, and I gave him some coaching points and on maybe you know, at the beginning of the video, maybe explaining a little more.
Anticipate that you're going to get the hate.
Exactly. Anticipating that and then explaining to people that this movement isn't for all people and that we should all try and work. And I thought he did a good job because he does do it in there. But I said maybe in the future you do that a little bit more at the beginning just so you don't get as much. But I said, honestly, bro, I said I'm not too worried because the way the algorithm is built on YouTube and Instagram is if you do post something and it gets a lot of comments really quick, but doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it shoots you up on the Explorer page. It shoots you up on a recommendation page for YouTube. And so, you know, in a social media world right now, the reason why these people are probably recommending this as advice that you should be controversial or polarizing is because it feeds into the algorithm. Now, Mind Pump since day one has been about the long game. So we didn't play these tricks. I did a post 6 months ago where I talked about this. You know, our goal was to deliver as much free, superior content than any of our competitors to a point where the average consumer could not consume all the free information that we are giving. And it was all about adding value. And that has been our model. And it's a much slower model. That's why you look at all of our pages and by the size of our Instagrams, you would never be able to guess the success of the business. But a lot of these other people are chasing the look of being really successful and hacking algorithms and getting likes and getting ads. And so advice like this has become popular. And this goes right back into the topic that we started this whole fucking podcast with, which is the mastermind groups and influencer groups.
It's no different to me than any other flash in the pan idea. Like any other shreds out there that has they figure out something to be polarizing, to get eyes and attention, but you know, they're not willing to acknowledge other counterpoints and really have like an approach where I can trust what they're going to put out is valuable information. And so if you're going to do this and have a hard stance on one particular topic or another, you know, you just have to know that it's going to be that much harder for you to ever voice something in a different direction, because that's going to solidify a consumer's opinion about, you know, what you have going from then on forward. Yeah,
it's hard to talk against too, because people make a fortune doing it sometimes.
Right.
You know, like I'll give you a good example. Muscle stim machines have been around forever. I mean, literally forever. I mean, back in the 60s, you know, Bruce Lee would buy these stim machines, attach them to his pecs, and they'd make them. These are the machines that you put on a muscle. You turn it on, and it makes the muscle flex.
Yeah, the butt ones are hot right now.
Right, and so every couple of years,
it goes in cycles.
Yeah, every couple of years you see one come out, and for a while there it was ab ones. Put this belt around your abs. It's like doing 100 sit-ups while you're working at your desk, and it just makes the abs flex. You know, there was another one for back pain, you know, or whatever. And so they recycle them. Well, now There's one for butt. Now, part of me is a little bit irritated because I'm like, son of a bitch, of course. All you have to do is take some stupid shit that people always buy into and put it on a body part that everybody's into. And right now, everybody's into the butt.
Now that being said, I think there's something that I agree with taking a polarizing stance. I think there are some things that we do intentionally like that.
But it's real.
No, of course. So
that's our real opinion.
So my point is there's a way to hack the algorithm, or there's a way to get a lot of people talking about the information you're providing without falling into this trap of you've got to take a hard stance in a camp. And what I mean by that is, like, and Sal's a good example. He does this a lot on his page where he'll say something like cardio sucks. Like, that's a very polarizing statement right there. Cardio sucks. But then underneath it, when you read the information, he explains what he means by that. And the idea is to get people on there commenting, talking, and having discussion and learning and getting educated from it. And so I think that's a really cool way to take a polarizing stance without getting in a camp or attaching yourself to a name like keto, like paleo, like veganism, like carnivore diet. Instead of taking a stance or getting in a camp with that, there's nothing wrong with you making polarizing statements and then supporting it with science to get good conversation happening.
Mm-hmm.
Next question is from Robert M75. Do you think sports teach lessons you can't learn or are difficult to learn elsewhere?
100%. I think we can say sports, but I think to be more general, competition. But sports are a great way to do this. The lessons you learn the great thing about sports and competition is this, especially sports, is it takes the lessons that you are going to learn in life and it makes it very simple and clean. So, like, what lessons do you learn in life? You need to learn how to work with others. That's team sports. You got to learn how to really work with others, know your role, do your role at your absolute best, and work with the people around you. You also learn with sports how to lose, how to fail. That's a very important lesson in life, because life is a series of failures. It's very few successes, mostly a bunch of failures. And so you got to learn how to roll with those and grow with those. Sports teaches you how to grind. It teaches you how to focus. I think the reasons why sports are these are the reasons why sports are so important for children. Not to make them physical, although that's awesome. Sure, you get physical and you exercise and all that stuff. Not to get them to move and all that stuff, although those are great. Really, it's the other lessons that you get from sports. You can have a kid that's terrible at sports their entire life, but they're going to get a lot out of them because they're always because of all these other lessons.
Yeah, there's a lot, and I look at it from a movement perspective as far as the expression of, like, if I looked at what I learn in school, particularly, academically, I learn a lot that leads me into a specific direction. Like I know a lot more about history because I really focused on that, and I have a lot of information now that it is relevant, and this is going to help me like into my career, or this is the ultimate epitome of like where I could go with that knowledge. I want to know like the ultimate epitome of where I can go with body, like with my body, with skills, with movement, and to just train my body to benefit for health is great. But there's more potential to it. There's more ways to express myself and figure out where my boundaries lie, where the ultimate performance capabilities are, like what I can do with my body. My body has its own particular language. Like I'm able to do things and communicate with my fingers, with my toes, with the way that I can stop, with the way I can twist, which the way that I can catch something, I can predictively learn things and have like ultimate consequence for. So for me, sport is an entire. It's basically like another like way to test what I've learned based off of what I've acquired in the gym.
That was a really nerdy answer.
Yeah, it was really good.
Sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that from you. I expected that kind of from him more. And ironically, he went into the thing that I probably would have thought you would have the direction you went. And I agree with Sal that which I think is why you explained it really well, is it's not just sports, it's just competition, I think is so important. And I think it's more important today than it's ever been, because we keep we're going in the direction of like, oh, don't be competitive with somebody else, or be an individual and don't compare yourself to them. And so we're turning into this society where everyone's equal, but in reality, that's not true. Like, if you're better than the next person, you tend to succeed more than that person. And I think in sports, I learned that lesson first. And, I think back to when I first started playing sports, I don't think I call myself an athlete or think I'm athletic, but when I really think about it and go way back, like, I'm not a gifted athlete at all. And I think this was one of the first lessons that I ever got with hard work. And, I wanted to play because I was a kid, dude, and my friends boxed, and we played basketball, and we played football, and we played baseball, and we played soccer, and you name it. Like, we did all those things. I had active friends that were into sports, and I was a late bloomer, and I was young for my class, and I was skinny and small. So I got punked a lot in sports. I didn't win, but I wanted to play, and I wanted friends. And so if I was going to get good at something, I had to practice it. And it wasn't as simple as just showing up on game day or showing up at recess and playing. If I didn't go when, nobody was around and put shots in and practice my skills and dribble the ball in the house and put in all this work to better my skill sets, I would have never been able to compete and then one day be pretty good at these sports that I played.
This is such a great thing you're saying, because if you have parents listening right now who are afraid to put their kids in sports because they suck, like, look at who you became because of it.
Oh, man. Yep. And that lesson that I learned from sports, and I never became a great athlete, but the tenacity that I built from not being good and then wanting to play with others and getting good enough that I could hang, and actually got pretty darn good. That lesson was, I just can't compare it to anything else that I've ever learned in my life. And that is now transcended into other aspects of my life, like business and work. I for the longest time, I struggled with reading and retaining information. I never scored high on that. I've joked before about being dyslexic. I know that has been a challenge for me for most of my life, but because I learned those skill sets of hard work and applying myself and getting back up from practicing sports, I've learned that in business and learning and growing and being successful. And those things, I think, you can't get that much anywhere else. No. I can't think of any other places in life where, and you're compared in sports. If I go out and my coach puts me in,
it's objective.
Yes, my coach puts me in. In basketball, you have what they call a plus minus. So if I got 5 minutes on the court, the coach tracks how many points got scored while Adam was out there, how many points got scored against him, did he turn over the ball, did he make a bucket, did he get a rebound, and I can objectively look at the guys that are in front of me and say, did I outplay him? No, I didn't. I don't. And my mom can't come over and tell me, good job, son, you're just as good. No, I'm not, Mom. Tommy was in front of me. Tommy out-rebounded me. He outscored me. He played better than I did, and that's a fucking fact. And if I want to compete with him, I'm going to have to do more than what Tommy is doing, which means I'm out there when it's dark and I'm shooting hoops and I'm dribbling in my house, like I said, and I'm doing the things that I need to do so I can compete with him and hopefully get better than he is. And when you start to learn that and then you apply it and then you actually see it pay off, man, it's an incredibly motivating thing to know that you harness this power if you're willing to put the work and effort in. I think sports teaches that better than anything else.
It's a confidence builder. It's the best confidence builder, because where do we get confidence from? We get confidence from, not from always winning. Okay, people think, if you're always succeeding, you're going to get confidence. That's not true. True confidence comes because what happens is somebody who always succeeds, the first time they fail, they're crushed. Real confidence comes from being challenged and then overcoming. Being challenged to the point where you're not sure if you're going to make it, and then you overcome. Now you feel more confident for the next challenge. I remember learning that, and I didn't compete in traditional sports, but I did in martial arts, and I did judo as a kid. And judo is a Japanese martial art, but it's basically wrestling with a gi, and it's full contact. And I remember as a kid when I'd go in the class, the way you train judo is you wrestle with each other. So you're actually getting very, very physical, and you're trying to pin each other and you're trying to throw each other. And I remember my first tournament, I think I was 12, and I was fucking nervous, man. I was so nervous to go stand on the mat with all these people watching me and go against the kid who's trying to throw me, and I'm trying to throw him. So I was so nervous. And then I went out there and I got second place. I think I won my first 2 matches, lost the second one, and won the third one, and I got second place. And the confidence I got from that was that I can do things I'm scared of. I literally learned that from that tournament. Like, I can be scared of something and do it anyway. God, is that a powerful lesson? Mm-hmm. You know how many times that has gotten me places? How many times I've had to do things? The first gym I managed, I'm a 19-year-old kid. I'm walking into the gym. I've got a staff of 30 people. Every single one of them is older than me. I'm just a kid. I live at my parents' house. That gave me the confidence to walk in there and lead that team. Mm-hmm. It gave me the confidence to start my first business. It gave me the confidence to talk in front of the camera. These are lessons that you learn. And sports is great because if you lose a game, you lose a game. It's okay. If you never learn how to lose in life, fuck, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's a microcosm. It's like, for me, it was always like, it was something where if I'm on the field, I'm going to get like the ultimate forces against me. I was out and I was literally humiliated because we were getting our asses kicked so bad. But it was all about how we come back. How do we come back from this? Like, are we just gonna next game? Are we just gonna be dog shit again? Is that what's gonna happen again? Are we like? It just taught me, like, time after time, like, what you had to do to pick yourself up and put the efforts in that will get you through these types of situations.
It's completely changed my perspective on everything that I do. I have a completely different lens when I approach everything. I mean, I remember first getting into podcasting. I remember talking to Katrina and her being like, "Are you afraid? Are you nervous? You all this?" And I'm like, "No, not really." She's like, "Do you think you guys are going to be really good?" And I'm like, "No, I'm probably not going to be.
Terrible.
I'm probably not going to be good at it. You know, I don't expect to be good. I expect to be terrible. I expect it to be challenging. I expect to fuck up. Like, I expect all those things. And then I expect that I will pay attention to that. And then I'll put practice in, I'll put work in, I'll try and improve my craft. I'll read, I'll study others. I'll do what it takes to become better at my craft. So I now approach many things in my life that I've never done before, or that would probably scare the average person, with zero fear. I just don't fear it because I expect to be bad. I expect to fail. That's not going to keep me from pushing through. Well, and really, I think sports really taught me, because I can't think of anything else that I got that from. And many, many times did I play a sport and come off the bench, or have a guy bigger, stronger, faster in the same position that I was competing for to try and take that position. And many, many times I was in the cold, first thing in the morning before anybody woke up, or late at night being out and practicing and doing those things that I'm praying that guy isn't willing to do what I'm willing to do to get better than him.
You can't bullshit your way through those games.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing it taught me. Like, as far as practices in your life, like, it stops on you. Like, you are the reason why it went that way. And it's crazy because it's just that consequence is real.
Yeah, and
that's what I loved about it.
And really, it's to take it a step further. It's not even that you don't feel fear, because I think we need to be more clear. It's that you perceive it differently. It means something different to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I get nervous and anxious now, it's different because I've been there before and I've challenged myself and overcome. So it's not going to make you a fearless person in the sense that you just don't feel any fear. It's that it feels different now. It's fear doesn't scare you anymore to make it. And look, the best coaches understand all these lessons. So if you watch sport, you watch team sports, you put your kids in sports, you can see the coaches that understand these lessons and understand that it's not just a game, that you're actually teaching these kids how to be better humans. You know, my kids, my boy plays on the basketball team for his school, and they just did this tournament. And they made it to the finals. And at halftime, the other team was just whooping on them. I mean, the other team was 20 points ahead. and they were just better. They were just a better team. Lights go out, we lose power in the building, so we had to stop the game. We get an email the next day that they just gave the game to the team that won, that was ahead at halftime. And I was so angry with that because it's like, look, first off, there's always a chance for a comeback. And I'm not delusional. They probably would have won. They were beating us. They were a lot better. But that's not the point. What lesson did you teach the kids? You taught the kids that they're so far ahead, we're over anyway, doesn't matter, they would have won. What are you doing? Kids come back, teams come back all the time. Life will be, many times in life, are you fucking behind the 8 ball and you're screwed, but you come out on top. And the second lesson that could have been learned is that they lost. Let them lose. Fine. They got their asses kicked by 40 points. That's a great lesson. I really got angry that they allowed the game to end that way and just say, oh, they just won because they were already 20 points ahead. Silly. I don't care about the skills they learn where they're playing. I don't care about all that. It's all great, and that's all plus. To me, it's like, teach my kid how to win, teach my kid how to lose, teach him how to work with a team, teach him how to push himself, and have them build confidence. That's always the most important things in my opinion. Look, if you go to mindpumpfree.com, you can download any one of our fitness guides for free. They're all free. There's about 10 guides on there. Again, it's mindpumpfree.com. You can also find all of us on Instagram. We have individual Instagram pages. Mine is mindpumpsal, Adam is mindpumpAdam, and Justin is mindpumpJustin.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.